In May of 2022, I went to Ukraine. I had been planning on taking a vacation to Ukraine for several years prior. The original plan was set for summer of 2020, but then the pandemic set in. Over time, a vaccine was developed, I got vaccinated and planned on going again in the summer of 2021, and then came the variants. Later in 2021, I got boosted, started making plans to finally visit Ukraine in the summer of 22. Then, on February 24th, 2022, Russia invaded Ukraine. It looked like my vacation to Ukraine had been foiled again. It had been a long, cold Minnesota winter, and I had to just go somewhere, hopefully warm. As the war progressed, Ukraine won the Battle of Kyiv, and the fighting was focused in the far east of the country. Ultimately, I decided that Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin won't ever dictate my vacation plans, so I bought a plane ticket to Krakow, Poland, and began researching the best way to cross the border into Ukraine.
Good morning from Krakow, Poland. It's about 7:30 in the morning, and let's go check out Krakow.
Feels like it's never gonna end.
So every hour on the hour here, the bells ring, and then the trumpeters do this little cadence. I believe they do it east, pointing east, south, east, and west out of each of these little windows up there. And you can wave to them afterwards. Every hour on the hour, 24/7. It's pretty cool. So it turns out Pope John Paul II was from Krakow. They even named the airport after him. And this reminds me of my St. Columbkills days. So last night I got into Krakow at about 6:30. By the time I checked into my Airbnb, took a shower, I did some walking. I ended up putting about 20,000 steps in. Today I wanted to beat that. So today I decided just to go for a random walk. And I love going in random walks in Europe because you end up running into cool stuff like this.
This is the time and the place we used to dream about all those nights. When happily ever after felt like the only story we could write. But following the yellow brick trail will only get you lost trying to chase these fairy tales. And will we feel like we failed when the film turns to black and white?
So we're at this old guardhouse outside of the North Gate. The North Gate we're gonna go through in a minute here. But I love these old arrow slits. You know, imagine being a arrowman, having to shoot your crossbow through these little arrow slots. I actually remember when we were in Baghdad, we were stationed in a dormitory complex that was about 3 stories tall. And on top of that, while we were there, they built this cinder block wall about 5 feet tall with little fighting positions. We used to always joke whenever we had to go man that wall that we were defending Helm's Deep. But I guess, yeah, I can imagine being a medieval bow and arrowman because I was kind of the modern day version of that once long ago in Baghdad. Let's go walk through the gate. Whew, I'm a little winded. That was a quick. But inside here you can see then where the archers would have access to their little fighting positions. They could have access to even a higher one up here in the tower. And then when they were done with their shift, they could come down and have a nice beer at their cafe. Here's the courtyard up here. There's the, I guess the cathedral. And then this used to be where the old ruler or the king, whatever he was called, used to live. I think back in the 1300s. It took him, I think, over 30 years to build this cathedral. I had to come to Krakow, Poland to see the greatest thing I've ever seen with my own two eyes.
A Roomba lawnmower. Yes, a Roomba lawnmower.
I love how in Europe, still it's the 21st century, and usually the tallest building still in Europe is a church steeple. So way over on the hill there's one. Here there's one. Down over this way there's one. And then too, here is like a Ferris wheel and a hot air balloon. The hot air balloon was going yesterday. It probably goes up a couple hundred feet and it's tethered by a rope. Or a series of cables, but today I haven't seen it go up yet, and I wonder if that's just because it's so windy. But it's a beautiful day here in Krakow. One of the coolest things I've noticed here in Poland is that almost every tourist attraction there is a scale model of the attraction for blind people, so they can read about it in Braille. There are little pieces of Braille all around it so that the blind people can see the magnificent architecture that they are walking around in. Very, very nice.
Take us to the park again, Grandpa. We can climb as high as gods this time. Slide back down and kiss the ground. Crush a can and make the sound. Turn around and rise again and again.
So this is the main square here in Krakow. It's the largest square in Europe, largest public square. And there's the St. Mary's Cathedral in the back. And it's a little hard to tell, but it looks like this plaza is huge right here in and of itself. However, this building right here is actually square in the middle, thus cutting this plaza in half. And you have that big tower back there. So there's another one of these big plazas on the other side of this building, thus the largest square in Europe. It's lined with all sorts of restaurants, shops. Coming here from Minneapolis in early May, it is a beautiful day, so I think I might go get a beer. Well, it's 3 o'clock. I've already put in about 20,000 steps. Time for a beer. Krakow is amazing. I am so glad I had an extra day here. I went to a Starbucks. I had some time to kill. I wanted a coffee. So the kid, he couldn't be more than 18 years old, asked me what I wanted in Polish. I said, coffee, Pike Place roast. And he immediately saw I spoke English, and he said, you know, it'll take 8 minutes. We have to brew that. Do you want coffee Americano? And I said, yeah, that's fine. And he asked me if I wanted milk or cream. I said, no, just black. And I said, like my heart. I pointed to my heart. So he said, okay. He rang me up. He hands my empty cup to the girl, again, probably 17, 18 years old. She makes my coffee, and then they hand it to me with this. Cheers to you, cool Polish Starbucks barista. Eat your heart out, Joan Jett. Well, we're headed towards the border. I've got about an hour or so to kill before my train here. I'm gonna hopefully, well, I'm gonna check out what the border's like. If they need volunteers. Anyway, we'll find out. We'll see you when I get to where I'm going.
Well, that might have been just about the craziest thing I'd ever done. My original plan was to take the train to the border. I know of some groups from the internet that accept volunteers there. That was my plan. I was really surprised with how much eastern Poland reminds me of Iowa. Just rolling hills, farms. I bet I saw a dozen pheasants, probably a half dozen deer, and just lots of farms, little farming communities, streams, rivers. It was beautiful. So then we pull into, I can't even pronounce it, Przemyśl, I believe, Poland. And there are 2 train stops there. And it was just me and this young lady. And she said to me in English, is this the last stop? And I said, no, I think there's one more. And then I said, are you Ukrainian? And she explained to me that yes, she's from Kyiv. She's been out of the country since the war started, and she was coming back. She had some relatives to pick her up that lived an hour from Lviv. So the train stopped at the last station, and she said 2 huge suitcases. And I helped her with her suitcases. And when we got off the train, she said, well, where are you going? And I said, well, I think I'm going to go to the border and volunteer there. And then she said, what are you doing after that? And I said, oh, maybe I'll go to Ukraine. I don't know. It just depends how safe it is. And she said, well, why don't you come with me to the border? It's quicker to walk across, and you can just walk across the border. Sure. So we hailed a taxi, took about a 10-minute ride to the border. There was, I don't know, hundreds, thousands of cars, trucks lined up. And just dozens and dozens and dozens of trucks with vehicles on them. And she explained that in Ukraine, they just dropped the tax for importing vehicles. Wow. This just has to be days long. Oh my God. So there's just hundreds of people trying to import vehicles. Either to sell or because they need them, because their vehicles have been destroyed.
I need to start a used car dealership in Ukraine. Sell used cars. Be a millionaire.
We get to the border, then we go to walk through the border. I said, okay, I guess I'm going to Ukraine today. Putin's invasion of Ukraine has taught the world that Ukrainian fighters are fierce warriors. While I was waiting to cross the border, I saw a future defender of Ukraine perfecting her marksmanship.
Well, I think I just checked out of Poland, and I think I'm in this little no man's land here where I check into Ukraine. Oh, I see it up ahead. So it looks like it's about a 100-yard walk or so. and I'll check in when I get to Ukraine. And we get to the other side, and she was waiting for me, which is kind of nice. We got separated, and she said, "Oh, I just want to make sure you made it okay. What are you gonna do now?" And I said, "I don't know. I think I'll take a taxi to Lviv." So she helped me, she interpreted, she got me a taxi, and I explained to them I have no money, and she said, "Okay, well, I'll tell them to stop at an ATM." So I get in this car with this complete stranger. I'm in a taxi in Ukraine with my friend Stephen. Within about the first 2 minutes, there was a beautiful church, and I got my camera out, and he saw me so he stopped right in front of the church for me to take a picture. And I was like, okay, this is cool. So then we drove a little more, and there was a beautiful, beautiful blue church. And he said, "Oh, my father." So I think his father belonged to that church. That's where we stopped to get an ATM. I couldn't read the ATM. I had to have this complete stranger who I'd only known for 5 or 10 minutes help push me the buttons because it's all in Ukrainian. At that point, I hadn't even done any kind of Ukrainian currency conversion at all. I just knew I was giving him 50 euro. So then that blue church was just a block from the ATM. So he took me there, and we walked through, and again, I took some photos, and there was a big kind of a shrine with the crucifix, and as we walked up to that, he did the sign of the cross. So that's when I knew I was safe. We stopped to get some gas. As we got closer to Lviv, further from the border, the fuel lines got longer and longer. So a few weeks ago, the Russians bombed a gas reserve here, oil reserve. So there are massive lines for gas. They put a quantity on how much gas you can buy. Thankfully, we got some gas closer to the Polish border where I suppose it's easier to resupply, but it's crazy. We kept going and kind of got into the outskirts of Lviv, and I really noticed a change you can just tell that there's been some economic hardships of the past 20, 30 years since the Soviet Union broke up. I understand that Poland and Eastern Germany and Prague have all left the Soviet Union 30 years ago, but there's differing time frames with which how easy that is to catch up economically. And obviously, I think with Vladimir Putin playing devil's advocate to Ukraine's progress over the past 20 years, that's been a difficult slog. So we just kept coming and passed some military checkpoints, which was good. Again, I felt safe. It's just weird being on this side of a military checkpoint, being an Iraq war veteran. I'm used to being on the other side. But again, I felt safe. We stopped at a hotel. He helped me walk in, give me a hotel room for the night. He gave me his phone number so he can give me a ride back to the border later in the week when I leave. Took a nice picture of him, and then I came up to the hotel room. So let's go explore Lviv. Slava Ukraine. I was pretty scared when I got here, I'll be truthfully honest. Just decided just to get out of the hotel, did a quick Google map search, found I was only a 5-minute walk from the National Opera House and this nice park. So it's a beautiful evening. It might rain a little later. Ukrainian people are out, families are out. Slava Ukraine. So I'm in Reinach Square, lots of kids out, lots of bars and restaurants, and I haven't eaten since breakfast, so I'm gonna get something to eat. Even here in the Middle Ages in Lviv, you could come off your guard shift as a archer, manning your post, and when you're done with your shift, You can come down to this awesome restaurant, have a bite to eat, and a nice beer. I think that's where I'm gonna drink a beer. My first air ride, Siren beer. That's disconcerting. Well, I ordered beer and croquettes, and the air raid sirens went off. So I'm going down to the bomb shelter, and she said she would bring me my croquettes in the bomb shelter. And everyone's just going there, nice and peacefully. Everyone going to the bomb shelter. This is a beer I'll never forget. Just drinking beer in a bomb shelter. Awesome.
After the air raid sirens turned off, I made my way to the nearest Irish pub, where I made a few friends. I eventually struck up a conversation with the gentleman sitting next to me, and he was from the US. We ordered a few beers, chit-chatted about life and his experiences in Ukraine. I'll be honest, the beer started flowing, and the following footage was found on my phone the next morning. I'll include it here as a testimony to what may have happened that I really don't have any recollection of. Enjoy the following footage with no edits. I know I sure did.
Oh, dude. I told you this was a speakeasy.
I have been here. I was only at the beach shop. I did not know that this was down here.
Oh, yeah. I learned this from my Ukrainian travel vlogs. I'm with my buddy Sean. We stumbled out of the subterranean speakeasy to a series of stairways where we're about to, we think, go to a rooftop speakeasy?
Perhaps.
Let's check it out. So I'm at some type of rooftop bar with my buddy Sean with an anti-aircraft gun overlooking some kind of, we don't know where we are. We're somewhere on the rooftops of Lviv. There may or may not be somebody working out over here, but we ultimately want to get here to have a drink. Stay tuned.
We never did find the entrance to that rooftop lounge, so we headed back to the Irish pub just before 10 o'clock. Ukraine is under martial law and bars can't serve after 10. So I ordered an original Budweiser to go and followed this dog back to the hotel. Once back in my hotel room, I finished the beer. I obviously took this photo. I then got into my underwear and went to sleep.
It's a little chilly this morning, but beautiful nonetheless. So let's get some coffee. So behind me is this clock tower here, where in normal times you can climb to the top, have a beautiful view of Lviv, but as you can tell by these sandbags and this big gate around it, that's closed for the day. Fuck you, Vladimir Putin, for ruining my vacation. Actually, you're not ruining it, but fuck you anyway. So when I said earlier I could just kind of tell I wasn't in the West anymore. This is just an example. I've gone just a few minutes walk, maybe a 10-minute walk from the central square, and this is just kind of an example of just kind of this older building. You know, I could just tell I wasn't in the West anymore. So that was what, you know, Ukraine wanted, was a more prosperous future. But if we just turn around, I see this nice modern apartment building. This is the future of Ukraine. This is what they want. This is what they deserve. And this is just another example of it. Found this nice, beautiful high-rise building. There's another one right behind me here.
There's a nice playground for the kids. There's nice shops underneath them, so it's nice mixed commercial, residential. This one even has underground parking. Beautiful.
Yeah, again, I'm just kind of walking. Found these very nice apartment buildings. Look like this one right here might have some kind of a rooftop terrace. But then I turn around this way, and you can kind of see that old classic Soviet style row apartments. But I've just got to say, just on this 20-minute walk from the city square, I've seen a McDonald's, a Domino's. You wouldn't even know that there's a war going on, other than the McDonald's was closed. I don't know why that is. I know they closed all their stores in Russia. Maybe they have all their distribution from there. I don't know. Anyway, beautiful day. My walk continues. So I found the shopping mall. They've got arcade games. There's a multiplex cinema. There's a little kids area here. There's a food court over there. All the modern trappings of civilian life. Ooh, there's some yogurt. Well, maybe I should leave, given Russia's propensity for bombing civilian shopping malls. Fuck Russia.
6 weeks after I made this statement, Russia bombed the Kremenchuk shopping mall. This is what they do. Attacking and bombing civilian targets is literally Russia's modus operandi.
So really, I've just been walking for the past couple hours, just trying to get a sense of what real life is here. Here's kind of a common apartment. Kind of stopped because I want to show just everyday life is happening here. Up in one of these balconies, there's a woman, I don't know, cutting her boyfriend's hair.
A little shop behind me over here. There was a little tavern called Beer Set. And right here, people are just washing their cars.
Life continues here in Ukraine, especially in Lviv, the western part of Ukraine, at the car wash. Well, just randomly got on this tram. I think it's heading back to the city center. Let's see where it goes. Moron. Beautiful, beautiful day here in Lviv. I'm just taking a little walk. There's so many parks here. About a 10-minute walk from Old Town up this big hill, and there's this beautiful park. So I'm really just kind of shocked how much this reminds me of where I come from. These nice, lush, rolling hills where you've got the city down here in the distance, and then slowly it just gives way to the farms over closer to the horizon. Beautiful. It's just a beautiful day. People are out. People here are resilient. They're just doing their day-to-day lives.
Збережем свою країну, не цураймося брати, бо у нас вона єдина, а у неї я і ти. Захистив своє майбутнє, об'єднаємося знов, і війни уже не буде, бо серця живе любов, живе любов, живе любов, живе любов.
was cool.
There was a missile attack last night, and just look at how many people are out. I've just been walking around like this for 2 days. It's amazing. I literally just walked 200 feet since I turned the camera off, and I come up to this. Well, I woke up this early this morning, walked. I was about a 20-minute walk from my hotel here to the Lviv train station. It's quite a bit of activity. I definitely noticed some refugees here. It's really kind of sad, actually, just old women, children, you know, carrying lots of bags, packing all of their belongings, going to who knows where. Anyway, I'm not going to film them. They deserve more respect than that. But I bought a ticket to Kyiv. I get there tonight. Let's go.
On my way into the train station, I captured this on film. Congratulations. I wish you nothing but peace and prosperity in your future.
I hope this is the right train. Is this heaven? No, it's Ukraine, which looks a lot like Iowa. I had a crazy day yesterday. First mistake was I made the train attendant mad. I was taking pictures like a dumb tourist, and she got mad because there's a war going on. It just looks like Iowa here. It's amazing. It just looks like Iowa. And that's what I was taking pictures of. Every time we pass through a village, there's some fighting positions and a checkpoint at the entrance to each of these villages. I was making sure not to take pictures of those. She didn't know that, however, and got mad at me. Got into Kyiv pretty late. Stupid me, I didn't have any hotel reservations, nothing. Get here, and in Lviv, my cell service worked fine. Here I couldn't get a signal, I couldn't get anything, so not even my Google Maps would work. So I just got off the subway, or excuse me, the train, exited the train station and just started walking, and I saw a big glass Hilton hotel. I go to the Hilton and it's closed because of the war. And then that's when I just realized, oh, what am I doing here? Anyway, I walk around a little bit more, and I was just gonna head back to the train station, maybe spend the night in the train station. So I found one hotel, and it was open, but it was only open to journalists and other dignitaries, the guy said. So I said, oh, well, I'm a volunteer doing humanitarian aid, and my plans changed last minute, and I'm stranded. So he asked me for my passport. He said, give me a minute. So I went and sat down in the lobby. A few minutes later, he came over and gave me a room. Said they were gonna make an exception. I ate dinner here. Super, super nice. Gorgeous chandelier. But you can tell we're in a war zone because all the curtains are closed. They were all closed in the restaurant. They did have a little
a little lounge open. At first, I was the only one in there. Started talking to two Ukrainian bartenders. They're 25 years old. They're just cool kids. And I told them I bartended and was a server most of my life. And the one kid was thinking about being a drummer. And he says, oh, but I don't know. Do I get acoustic or electric drums? And I showed him a picture of my electric drums. And I was like, get the electric drums. So I kind of slept in today, and even now I've been a little hesitant to go out because I'm just a little scared. It's just way different here. I saw the strangest thing. Came in on the train, passed by the large international airport, and they had every plane in the airport was parked crossways on the runway to prevent Russian planes from landing here. Let's go check out Kyiv.
So this is the Maidan Plaza. That's the Independence Tower. Back in 2014, I believe it was, there was a president here who said he was going to bring Ukraine to the west, and instead he went the other way. So good old Vladimir Leonidovich Putin probably bribed him. And anyway, there's this huge square here where the people protested, and hundreds of thousands of people protested in this square. And eventually that dictator fled to Russia and they got their freedom until recently. So this is kind of the equivalent of Washington, you know, the mall in Washington, D.C. Anytime there's big political protests, this is where it happens. Yeah, it's really cool to be here.
So I've been wanting to come to Ukraine for years, and I've watched enough travel videos that I almost feel like I've been here before. Just from Independence Square, I came up here to this park, and there's kind of this big hill, and up above that is the government. It's where the presidential palace is, where Zelensky is, it's where the parliament is, I think the National Bank and the National Museum. So I've been watching travel videos and wanting to come here for a long time, and my Google Maps isn't working. And I just knew how to get to this bridge. So here's this arch, and now here is this, I'm gonna turn the camera around, this bridge. I knew how to get here from my hotel without Google Maps working. Pretty cool. Walking through the park, thought I smelled something familiar. Lilacs. That's for you, Mom. Don't be mad that I didn't go to Mexico. Normally this boardwalk would be filled with artists who would sell their art. Unfortunately, it's completely empty. But it's a really cool place in this park, overlooking the river, where you would have, you know, a bunch of artists selling their art. Let's hope it comes back soon. And there's this big patio where they just let the trees come up through the patio. Again, a bunch of artists would have their stalls here, overlooking kind of the old city and the Dnipro River in the background. Absolutely gorgeous. And then from the little patio with the trees sticking through it, you turn around and walk this way, and that's up on the hill. Yep. From this beautiful view, we turn around here. Again, there's the St. Michael's Cathedral overlooking Kyiv. And look what I found. Some artists. Slowly returning to normal. Then from the Artist Rose, from St. Michael's Cathedral, we turn around here, and it's just like we're back in Lviv, in the old town of Kyiv. Again, I knew how to get here already. So this is the Dnieper River. Up there's the arch and the glass bridge that we just walked across. The Artist Way would be up there. There are people out and about, but you can just tell that this would have hundreds and hundreds of people hanging out on a gorgeous day like today. It will again. I don't know what's worse, this war or Nickelback on the streets of Kyiv. Where I'm at, Bourbon Street. There are definitely more people out and about now. Maybe I was just in the tourist area and now I'm just kind of in the Kiev resident area, but lots of people around. It's kind of like the Champs-Elysees, shops, a bunch of wide boulevards to walk on and have traffic on. There's a place over here with a line around the corner to get something. Pretty cool. It's about 7:30 in the morning. Wanted to spend 2 days here in Kyiv, but my flight leaves super early Saturday from Krakow. So it's Wednesday. I'll get back to Lviv tonight. Maybe take the train back tomorrow to Krakow and then head home. It's been a wonderful time in Kyiv. Been a wonderful time in Ukraine. Still have at least another day here, but what an amazing trip. I can't believe I did it. What a dumbass I am. Last beer in Ukraine. I've got about 2 hours till my train leaves. So I'm gonna have this, go pick up my bag at the hotel, walk to the train station, head to Poland, Slava Ukraine. One more for the road, as my grandma used to say.
So after my 11-hour train ride from Kyiv to Lviv, I spent an evening in Lviv and then took a 5-hour train from Lviv to the border. I should have just called taxi driver Stefan, but oh well. Lesson learned. I spent the night at the border, then took a 3-hour train ride back to Krakow, where I had one final beer, and then went to the airport and slept in the airport for my red-eye flight back to the States. What an amazing trip. Can't wait to do it again.